Welcome to MetroArts. I'm your host, Naksheen Naseef. Here on MetroArts, we highlight some of the best in the business, from fine artists, photographers, and performing artists to cinematographers and musical artists, all from the Metro Detroit area. On today's show, we have Geno Harris, Mychal Noir, and Reggie Abstrkt from the Poor Man's Art Collective, Hilberry Theater Company actors Vanessa Sawson and Edmund Alyn Jones, and jazz musician Charles Greene. We'd like to welcome some of the artists from the Poor Man's Art Collective, Geno Harris, Mychal Noir, and Reggie Abstrkt. Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So, Geno, can you tell us what exactly the Poor Man Art Collective is all about?
The Poor Man's Art Collective is a collective of new, emerging, and some established artists. My partner and I, Mychal Noir, we created the collective because we had some frustrations in trying to get our art out there because we were new and emerging, and we found it rather difficult to submit some of our work to galleries. They didn't really pay us any attention, so what we tried to do was find like-minded individuals, and we collected and pulled our resources, and we started producing our own shows.
Right, and Mychal, how many shows have you had, and are you planning on having?
Well, as of now, we're up to 12 shows. Our first show was produced in 2004. It was called L'Arte di Povero, which is the Italian translation of Poor Man's Art. And we're up to 12, and we plan on doing at least 2 to 3 shows every year.
And Reggie, what's your involvement with the Poor Man Art Collective?
About 5 years ago, me and Geno did a show together at the Bagley Housing Gallery, and we kind of lost touch. And then 4 years ago, a year after the show, we hooked up again, and we started doing shows. I started doing shows with the Poor Man's Art Collective, and which leads us to today, our current show, Welcome to the Colored Section.
Now we're going to take a look at the show, Welcome to the Colored Section. Geno, can you tell us what we just saw with Welcome to the Colored Section?
Welcome to the Colored Section was a challenge that Mychal and I put forth to the artists to express what it means to be an African-American artist here in the city of Detroit. Some of the art that you'll see, or that you did see actually, was representative of spirituality, family dynamic, iconic imagery from magazine, music, TV, and it was their way of expressing what that means to them.
Okay, so how many artists were specifically in that show?
In this show, we have 11 artists all total, 3 poets, and 1 musician.
Okay, and I see this amazing piece right here. Can you tell me about it?
This piece here is called Creativity, which I utilize the decoupage technique, and it is made out of paper. It is a very weird and wacky self-representation of myself, of how I view myself as I am creating my artwork.
So do the colors represent maybe a mood you're going through? And
you know, I would absolutely say so. When I do create work, I use music as a motivator. And I guess these colors, directly represent the music that I'm listening to, and it helps, helps my mood when I'm creating.
Mychal, tell me about this piece.
Well, this piece I brought with me today is called Instant Gratification, which is weird considering that it wasn't as instant as I would like it to be. It started out in layers. So what you see here are several different layers. It usually starts with one layer of just flat acrylic paint, and then the second layer is latex, and then when you see the design here, it's all chalk pencil. So it's 3 different layers, and the chalk pencil I added so it would bring some kind of texture to the piece. I like my pieces to be 3-dimensional and kind of in motion at the same time, and I think this piece kind of nailed that.
What about the colors?
The colors are decided when the music comes on.
Same.
Yeah, it's weird. Geno and I are both like that, but yeah, the music kind of determines, it sets the mood. And this particular piece, believe it or not, was inspired by Janet Jackson's big fan, Escapades, which is a very light, happy, bright song. So that's how the colors got created.
So Reggie, how did you create this masterpiece?
Well, this was actually a piece I did for about 4 shows ago that I actually took it apart and I made it into another piece, this piece here. So I wasn't happy with it, so I took it apart and I put the different forms on it, and I re-put it in, I think it was 2 shows ago.
So is there anything that inspires you to do such a piece?
I try to be as free as possible in my artwork. I try to kind of get it across to the viewer and to other artists to be free, with the colors and with the red and the blues to be as bright and as free as possible.
Okay, so this is made out of wood, right?
It's wood.
Is it
wood and wood stain.
Okay.
So the stuff you use in your house when you're painting your furniture is natural paint, natural elements.
So Geno, the pieces we just saw were gorgeous.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. So where exactly do you see the organization headed to in the near future?
Well, the ultimate goal is to have Poor Man's Art Collective become a driving force for new and emerging artists, and to actually become a nonprofit so we can really and truly help the new and emerging artists in the city of Detroit. Okay. And you can definitely find us on Facebook at Poor Man's Art Collective on Facebook.
Okay, thank you for joining us,
Thank
all
you.
of you. And you are watching MetroArts on Detroit Public Television. It's a very special year for the Hilberry Theater at Wayne State University as the company celebrates its 50th season. Here's one of their promotional videos.
The Hilberry, to me, equals making my dreams come true. I've always dreamt about going. The Hilberry is important to me because it's a place you can learn, and it's a place you can perform, and it's a place to meet people, and it's a place to grow for yourself. There's so many things I want to do ever since coming here, and I can't help but hold the Hilberry responsible for that. The 3 things that make up the Hilberry experience are performing, the patrons, and the company.
Our next guests are actors with the Hilberry Theater, Edmund Alyn Jones and Vanessa Sawson, who we just saw on the video. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So glad to be here.
So Edmund, how'd you get involved directly with the Hilberry Theater?
Well, it's kind of a cute little story. I've been seeing the theater since, I'm from Detroit. I've been seeing Hilberry for a while.
Okay.
And I have this program at home. When I went to a show when I was 17, I said, I'm going to do this one day. And so 10 years later, I got all the information, I auditioned, and they let me in. And so I've been loving it ever since.
Great. Okay, and your acting background, Vanessa?
I actually come from a family of actors. My parents and my grandparents were actors, so naturally I wanted to be just like them.
So you want to be just like mom and dad?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I took it seriously and it became a career for me, and both of them were, no, it was for fun.
Yeah.
But now it's my life.
So is there anything you wanted to do before you got into acting?
I mean, I tried. I went to school to be a lawyer. I got a real job when I graduated undergrad as a salesperson, and I was kind of miserable, so I decided to change my life and go to grad school at the Hilberry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an excerpt from your demo reel. Let's watch it.
You can give everything that you have to give, and when you're a kid, they say, just try your best, because that's all you can do is just try your hardest. In this industry, trying your best means nothing. You can try your best and you can feel so great about that, but there is always going to be someone that is better than you. And until you can overcome that with more training or more perspective, you're kind of just, you're stuck being who you are. If you don't have a thick skin, you won't make it. After the show is over at the Hilberry, when you're yourselves again and you're walking backstage and everyone's walking through this big long hallway behind the stage, all walking, getting ready to go out that night or what they're going to do, finish their homework. And it's just a moment for me that is one of my favorite moments every evening of, we're just these people who put on costumes and tell stories. This is what we do. And it's a magical moment.
Vanessa, I can see like the passion in your eyes. What has been your favorite role at the Hilberry Theater?
Well, the one I'm working on right now, Constance in Goodnight Desdemona, Good Morning Juliet. It's running at the Hilberry this season. She is a professor trapped in Romeo and Juliet and Othello, and she has this idea that these are actually comedies, but they're written as tragedies. So she goes into these worlds to see if she can make some changes by becoming the fool, and it's a wonderful journey. I get to do lots of things that I wouldn't do in normal life. I get to sword fight and dance with boys and girls. I get to kiss both sexes.
Pretty different.
It's a great journey, and it's a comedy, but it's also very deep and moving about finding your identity, and I feel very close to it.
So you can relate to it, which
Absolutely.
is... So is that easier for you to work with when you can relate to a topic? Or
I think I can almost every time put myself into a role and find some kind of connection. But this especially, I think her age and the context of the world that she's in and looking to find herself, I think we're always on that journey.
Yeah.
And Edmund, what's your favorite role so far?
Oh, I would have to agree with Vanessa. You know, it is the one you're working on because you pile yourself into it. You really pour yourself into it. There's a ton of sacrifice. But I guess if you took me, locked me in a room, and made me choose, I'd have to say Mercutio from Romeo and Juliet.
Why?
He's got a great energy. He doesn't apologize for who he is. I think he's a good friend, but he has a strong sense of who he is, and I can really relate to that, and I feel that way as an artist. He can be a little jerky, so there's some things I can learn from that, but to be able to really be true to myself, I think that's great.
Okay, well, we have an excerpt from your audition. Let's watch.
Cool.
I wait, anticipate, expecting to coagulate, all instruction needed to enhance my fate. Make no mistake, I ain't perfection at all. Ain't nothing wrong with this fella feeling 10 feet tall. I'm Edmund Alyn Jones, representing Detroit, Michigan. The first piece is Aaron the Moore, you know the play. The second piece is Sterling from August Wilson's 2 Trains Running. Hope you dig it. To vex thy soul to hear what I shall speak. For I must talk of murders, rapes, and massacres, acts of black night, abominable deeds, complots of mischief, treason, villainies rueful to hear, yet piteously perform. And this shall all be buried by my death, unless thou swear to me, my child shall live. Swear that he shall, and then I will begin. Yet, for I know that thou art religious, and hast a thing within thee called conscience, with 20 popish tricks and ceremonies, which I've seen thee careful to observe, and therefore I urge thy oath. And for I know an idiot holds his bauble for a god, and keeps that oath, which by that god he swears, to that I'll urge him. Therefore, thou shalt swear by that same God. Will God so e'er it be that thou adorest, and hast in reverence, to save my boy, to nourish and bring him up, or else I will discover naught to thee. Yeah. You play the numbers? I know a lot of people that play the numbers. If you're lucky, you can do all right. I've been trying to hit since I got out. 781. How you come up with that? Where you get that one from? One, what? What? I just said where you get that one from. You getting all embarrassed. What you getting embarrassed for? I ought to play 782. We could put one and one together. Yeah, I'm gonna put $5 on that 781. Wait a minute. Let me see how much money I got. I ain't got nothing right now, but as soon as I get me some money, I'm gonna play that 781. If it come out, we gonna get married.
Here again, Edmund, I can see your passion. What do you expect to do in 5, 10, 15? Where actually do you want to see yourself?
Oh, wow. That's a huge question. I want to see myself in everybody's homes on their DVD players. I love Shakespeare, so I definitely see that being a part of my acting career for the rest of my life. Shakespeare festivals are all over the country, all over the world, and so that's something I'm going to always work to be a part of. I'm also a writer as well, so I'm going to be writing my own stuff. I had one of my shows produced this past summer, so that's really fun. You know, we're going to do a showcase in New York for agents and casting directors out there, and so if anybody's interested, who knows, the sky's the limit. But I just want to do my craft, and I want to earn a great living doing it.
Great. And Vanessa, where do you see yourself?
Well, Edmund and I have a lot in common, aside being the only third-year graduating students this year. We both want to move to New York, and I would love to do that almost right away, just to hit the ground running. And of course, I am a huge fan of Shakespeare and plan on auditioning for all the Shakespeare festivals there are in the world. And I won't give up, and I won't say no to anything. So
it's a great attitude.
Yeah.
Very much looking forward to my future.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime. You're watching MetroArts on Detroit Public Television. Now let's welcome jazz musician Charles Greene to the Midtown studio. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today.
Good to be here.
So can you tell us about your musical background and your music?
Well, I am born and raised in Detroit, and I grew up in a home with a piano, and so I've always played the piano and the music, and that's where I started.
So are there any other musicians that influence your work?
Oh yes, so many. As a pianist, I'd say my major influences are the pianists of the 50s. Alma Jamal, Geno Harris, Wynton Kelly, so many.
So what's your most favorite place that you've toured, if you have one?
That I've played?
Yes.
Well, in the 70s, I went to England and toured the UK with Jimmy Ruffin. He was a Motown artist who was well known for his song, What Becomes of the Broken Hearted. And so we toured the UK in 75, and that was great.
So where can people find your music?
I have a project that I did several years ago that is out. It's online. It's called You Know Me, U-N-O-M-I. And it's sort of an experimental jazz, spoken word, hip hop project. And that's available at Amazon, iTunes, all the usual.
Great.
You know.
So up next, you have a performance. Can you tell me exactly what the songs are about, or?
Well, these songs I sort of put together just for this occasion. So the titles are just working titles. One of them is called We're Only Here for a While. And the other one I haven't got a title for yet.
Okay, well, I can't wait to watch. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And up next, Charles Greene performing live in the Midtown studio. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's show. I would like to thank our guests, artists Geno Harris, Mychal Noir, and Reggie Abstrkt, actors Vanessa Sawson and Edmund Alyn Jones, and musician Charles Greene for joining us today. I'm your host on MetroArts, Naksheen Nassif, reminding you that art is an international language we can all support.